the content. So I'm really happy to be here to share my experience in the validation process. Having done myself, I've done my process back in 2005, 2006, and also having helped many engineers in the process in the last, almost 15 years. And tonight I'm going to talk about the career episode. What is it? I'm going to talk about the structure, the format, and then some of the things related to career episodes, some tips as well. So it's very important that the content that I share with you is pretty much everything in the Engineers Australia booklet. I don't really make up anything myself. I read the booklet many times. I understand the booklet very well. And also, obviously, I throw a little bit of my interpretation here in my information sharing. Why is that? Because the booklet is obviously just information, and there are a lot of things that may need a little bit of interpretation and a little bit of digestion of information. So according to the Migration Skills Assessment booklet from Engineers Australia, there is a clear definition. A career episode, it's an account of your engineering education and or work experience. And each career episode focuses upon a specific period or distinct aspects of your engineering activity. And each career episode must focus on a different period or aspect of engineering activity and should focus on how you applied your engineering knowledge and skills in the nominated occupation. What is a nominated occupation? Is the occupation that you're going to apply for your validation. For example, if you are a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer, an environmental engineer, this will be your nominated occupation. And if you have any questions, you can please write your questions in the comments, and I will check those questions in the middle of the live session. So some of the things that could be as experience in your career episode, it could be, but before that, it's important to say the career episode needs to be, or the experiences that you're going to use in your career episode must be your own work. It can be academic or professional, or both of them. You need to write 3 career episodes, and it should cover different periods of your engineering experience. And obviously, the booklet has a very big warning about plagiarism. Sorry, guys, I'll have to blow my nose. I'll just mute for a second. Yeah, sorry, guys. And why do you need to do it? Why do you need to do the career episodes? Well, the career episodes, they are part of the reports that you need to do if you are applying under the CDR pathway or the stage 1 of membership eligibility as part of your overseas engineering qualification validation process. There are different pathways. I'm not going to cover those ones today, but you just need to know that there are different pathways, and one of the pathways for you to validate your engineering qualification is the CDR pathway, Competency Demonstration Report. And the career episodes, the 3 career episodes, they are part of the reports that you need to write to apply or submit your validation process with Engineers Australia. So what's the format and structure of each of the career episodes? Each career episode must be written in English using your own words, and it will be your evidence of your communication skills. And also needs to, when you present and you upload your career episodes, you need to upload in Word document as well. Why is that? Cannot be PDF? No, needs to be Word document. I believe that's because then Engineers Australia will submit that to their plagiarism system and detection system, and then obviously it will be assessed against the web in their database as well. So you need to include in your career episodes reliable and sufficient engineering evidences. For example, diagrams, photos, calculations, tables, pictures, etc. And it's necessary to have those evidences to support each career episode. And the number of words for each career episode is suggested by the booklet to be between 1,000 words and 2,500 words. And you need to clearly demonstrate the application of engineering knowledge and skills in the nominated occupation. That's very important because you are demonstrating your engineering experience. You're not demonstrating for example, a project management experience. You're not demonstrating your construction management experience. You're not demonstrating your engineering sales experience. You're demonstrating the pure engineering knowledge and skills. And this means that what you did and how you did it in terms of obviously the engineering activities. And you should be focusing on your personal contribution in the episode. Even though, let's say, you are talking about a large or a very large project that was delivered by a team, but it's very important. Engineers Australia is assessing your skills and your competencies. And for that, even though the project was delivered by a team, you need to be very specific. What was your job or what did you do as part of that team? Just for you to say the team did that and the team did that and we did that and we did that, it's not good because Engineers Australia is not interested about teamwork. They're interested to know what you actually did. And when you're writing your career episode, please don't forget to number each paragraph to help you to put together the summary statement. It is a requirement according to the booklet that you number each career episode. For example, career episode number 1, paragraph number 1 is going to be, let's say, CE 1.1. Career episode 2, paragraph number 10 is going to be CE 2.10. So you gotta have that numbering before each paragraph, because every time that you're going to refer in your summary statement about evidences, you will need to number what the paragraph number that contains that piece of evidence. So the structure of each career episode is very easy. You've got 4 parts in the structure: your introduction, your background, the personal engineering activity, and your summary. So just in a nutshell, the introduction, this will introduce the reader to the career episode and should include things like the chronology, dates and duration of your career episode or your experience, the geographical location where your engineering experience took place, and the name of the organization or the company. After you finish the introduction, you will have the background. So background, this will set the scene and will provide the context of your study or your work experience and should include things like the nature of your overall engineering project, the objectives of your project, the nature of your particular work area, the organizational chart showing your position and your role description or the functions that you did as part of your role. So that's in the background. And then after the background, so introduction, background, and then the personal engineering activity. So this is the main body of your narrative, of your career episode. And you will need to describe in detail your engineering experience, and this should include things like how you applied your engineering knowledge and skills, the tasks that you did, and how you went about doing them, the technical challenges or problems that you faced, and how you solved them. The strategies you used, including any original or creative design work. Very important. You will need to, especially for civil, mechanical, those engineering fields that they are heavy on design, you need to have design a very comprehensive design chapter in your career episodes. And also in your personal engineering activity, how you worked as part of a team or as their team leader. And then after you write everything there, and obviously in this, even in the introduction, background, and in personal engineering activity, if you have your evidences like tables, diagrams, photos, pictures, calculations, you need to include in there. And after that, you are going to conclude your career episode with your summary. So in the summary, you will sum up how the engineering project went and your contribution to its results. And you should include things like your view of the overall project. Did the project meet the objectives? And what was your personal role contribution to the project? And please note that whenever you use other people's work, you need to properly use in-text citations and references lists. If you don't do this, it could be considered as plagiarism. Why is that? Because if you use somebody else's work and if you don't give them the credits that are due, you are telling pretty much Engineers Australia that that work is yours, when in fact it is not. And Engineers Australia, the assessors, they check, and if they find out that that work was done by somebody else and you didn't put references, they may classify that as plagiarism and can ask you some questions. All right. I will just check for any comments or questions. Doesn't look like there's any questions there so far. So don't be shy if you're interested about or have some questions. Please just put in the comments. And also, just like to remind that from the 6th of March, we'll start my free online workshop. And the name of the workshop is I Want to Become an Engineer in Australia. So if you want to become an engineer in Australia, I'd say that it would be really good if you participate in this free workshop. It's going to be 100% online and obviously 100% free as well. So I'm going to paste the link in the comments for you to register. You just need to put your name and your email address, just that. And then you get a confirmation email. It's very important that you check your email to see if you got the confirmation email. If you didn't, perhaps it went to the junk mailbox. So it's a good idea to save my name and my email address. And if you're watching me on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and if you like the content, please give me a thumbs up, hit the like button. It helps my content to go to other people and will reach more people. So if you think that the subject is interesting and information is being useful for you, what I ask you is to put the finger in the like button. Doesn't cost you anything. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to give you some tips for you to write a good career episode. So tip number 1, even though it is very straightforward, but a lot of people, they don't do it. So tip number 1 for you to read for you to write a very good career episode is to actually read the booklet. So the migration skills assessment booklet, and I think I'm going to show you guys how you can find the booklet, because a lot of you guys sometimes don't know how even to find the booklet. So yeah, that's my website, engineersinaustralia.com. So you open a new, and then you put engineersaustralia.org.au. So that's the Engineers Australia website. So you go there, and then you go here in the menu for migrants. After that, you go to Migration Skills Assessment, and then Skills Assessment Quick Guide. And then the first dot point, read the Migration Skills Assessment booklet. And it will open up a PDF, March 2020. That's the latest edition. And in here, you will find everything that you need to know, so you can start your application process. There are some repetitive sections here, but it appears to be repetitive, but it's because sections for professional engineers, engineering technologists, and engineering associate. These are the three categories that you can apply for. But everything that you need, it's here. And then in the last page, you will find the occupations in Engineers Australia. So these are the codes that you will choose. And usually these are the codes from ANZ SEO here, Australian and New Zealand Standard Classification of Occupations. And those codes are going to be the codes of your migration process as well. Okay. So, but it's very important for you guys to read this booklet. Very, very important. A lot of people, they have lots of questions just because they haven't read the booklet properly. And when I mean reading the booklet, is to read not just once, twice, probably a few times, but read with attention. Read very, very carefully. Tip number 2 is to watch out for silly mistakes. So in the people, sometimes they ring me or they send me some documents. I have a look. Sometimes I see in the Facebook groups some comments. People make really silly mistakes when they're just not following the instructions defined in the booklet. And those silly mistakes, what can be some of those silly mistakes? One, it could be from simple scanning of documents in black and white. The booklet tells that you need to scan in color. And it's got to be in high resolution with a minimum resolution of 300 dpi. And sometimes it is black and white or is low resolution, and Engineers Australia will ask you to redo it. Another silly mistake is about the curriculum vitae or the CV or resume. They don't really have the information required from the organizations, like the name, period of experience, or the work or study, the task that you performed, contact details, and so on. Another silly mistake is about verbs. The career episode is a narrative of the past. If it is a narrative of the past, it means that the verbs, they need to be in the past. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not even in the first person. It's in the third person or in the second person, we. So these are the silly mistakes that usually people make it. The other thing that you need to do to write a good career episode is to check the ANZ SEO occupation definition. So when you go to the ANZ SEO occupation definition website from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and then you go there, let's say civil engineer, and you will find the occupation that Engineers Australia will use to assess if your experience is a valid one or not. So it's important to check that. We might do another live session just exploring the ANZ SEO occupation definition for different occupations. Also, another thing that you should do to improve your career episodes is to take advantage of the number of words. The booklet says that your career episode should have a minimum of 1,000 words and a maximum of 2,500 words per each of the career episodes. So the logic to use more words is that you can demonstrate more competencies. So take advantage of that because the assessor is a person and the interpretation can be different from one assessor to another. So it's important that if you write very well and if you are very objective, you know how to be concise, you know how to address the competencies very well, perhaps you can write 1,500, 1,500 words and you'll be all right. But if you are like me or majority of us, probably we don't really like or know how to write very well. Nowadays I do because of a lot of reports that I've written, but at the time I didn't. And taking advantage of the 2,500 words will give you opportunity to explore more competencies. So take advantage of that. And another thing that's very important for you to write in your career episode, so it makes a stronger one, is to write about design work. Very important. Remember that engineers here in Australia, they are more like design work. Different from Brazil, and engineers in Brazil, not everybody they do design work. A lot of engineers they do construction management, they do project management, but they don't really do design work. Here in Australia, engineers they are more like design work professionals. So it's very important that you do include your own design work in your career episodes. And it's the whole process, the process of design, since writing the design brief, consulting stakeholders, confirming scope, analyzing what sort of standards you're going to use, materials, what materials you're going to be using to do that calculation, obviously the calculation itself, assumptions that you used, perhaps some tests that you did as part of the design work, checking design, asking somebody else to check, when it is in construction or manufacturing, you go there and you review if the design could be improved, best practices that you used as part of your assumptions. So all of those things which encompass the design work should be in your career episode to address especially the competencies under design, which is PE 2.3. Another thing that you should pay attention in your career episode, that's tip number 6. So the tables with headings, especially if you are like me, a Brazilian engineer, and if you are going to use, let's say, tables or diagrams from a Brazilian standard or some work that you did in Portuguese, for example. So you could be using the tables in Portuguese, but then it's important for you to put legends in English, or you translate that table to English, because the table in Portuguese is not going to make any sense to the assessor. So, and they are not really going to try to translate just to understand. They're just going to say, sorry, but the evidence that you put is not in English. I cannot read. Please rewrite it. So if you're using a table, a diagram, a sketch, or a drawing plan, that the language is not English, so it's certainly a good idea for you to use Legend, or you do a parallel translation for that. Okay. And pay attention when you use the words such as would or could. So a lot of people, they write those reports and they actually use would or could. So you got to be careful, because the career episode is a narrative of the past. So, and would and could means something that you would do or you could do. It's not something that you did. So the career episode is about something that you did. If you say that you would or could, it's something that you haven't done yet, or you would do that. So it's not really something that you've done it. So just be careful with that. Okay. Right. Just check if there's any question there. No question. Yeah, so, and that's pretty much it that I was going to talk to you tonight. It's been already half an hour, and I try to keep these live sessions to 30 minutes. If there's no more questions, I would like to thank you guys very much and remind you again that from the 6th of March, I will start my free online workshop. I want to become an engineer in Australia. It's going to be 1 week of events. And next week, in the next live session, I'm probably going to explain a little bit more about the workshop, what you're going to learn, the benefits. Obviously, it's free, but it's going to be for the whole week, starting Sunday, the 6th of March, until Sunday, the 13th of March. Okay. All right. So I would like to thank you guys very much for your participation. And I hope to see you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time, here in Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please like the video if you haven't done so. If you go to my YouTube channel, consider subscribing. I've got more than 180 videos there talking about validation process, how to get a job as an engineer, and other subjects as well. Okay. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next Sunday. See you then. Bye-bye.